This one tweet cost Bhavish Aggarwal's Ola Electric 3,500 crore rupees as their stock price dropped by 9% in a single day. So it all started on Sunday morning when Bhavish posted a simple picture of Ola's gigafactory on X. And this was just a normal photo, nothing out of the ordinary, but then comedian Kunal Kamra, who has 2.4 million followers on X, posted a response that shook things up. So Kamra shared a photo of a bunch of Ola Electric scooters just sitting outside of an Ola Electric service center collecting dust, waiting to be repaired. He pointed out that these scooters are a lifeline for daily wage workers and asked his followers to share their experiences with Ola Electric scooters, and that's when things blew up. So hundreds of people flooded the replies, sharing their problems with Ola Electric scooters, but instead of addressing these complaints, Bhavish fired back. He accused Kamra of writing a paid tweet against Ola, and it didn't stop there. Bhavish went on to call Kamra a failed comedian and even offered him a job at Ola's service centers, promising to pay him more than his flop shows. Instead of taking responsibility and assuring his customers that things would get better, Bhavish seemed more interested in a public fight with Kunal. And here's the thing, these service center issues aren't new. People have been complaining about Ola's service for a while now. There are videos of frustrated customers who are very upset about the situation, at least one instance of someone burning their scooter, and one person went so far as to burn down an Ola showroom. And Reuters actually did a report last year highlighting Ola's service delays, and more recently was revealed that Ola receives over 80,000 complaints every single month. Since last year, while complaints have increased, Ola's service centers have barely grown from 400 to 500. At Ola's big Sankalp event, they announced new motorcycles and flashy AI initiatives, but there wasn't any mention of expanding their service network. But then finally last month, Bhavish did announce plans to double their service centers from 500 to 1,000 by the end of this year, and that brought some relief to Ola customers, but we'll have to wait and see if Bhavish can actually deliver on this promise, because so far, rather than being accountable, it seems like Bhavish has just chosen the path of arrogance. He's focusing on arguing with people like Kunal who are trying to highlight the issue, trying to shine a light on something so that the situation will get better. It's also worth noting that the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways has actually stepped in. They are launching a formal investigation asking Ola Electric to provide a detailed report given the number of complaints from customers. Ola Electric is also under scrutiny right now from the Central Consumer Protection Authority, which issued a show cause notice over potential consumer rights violations, pointing out issues with the company's ability to handle customer grievances and offer transparent service. The company now has 15 days to respond and provide documents, and meanwhile, the ministry's involvement may put even more pressure on the company because there have been over 10,000 complaints filed on the National Consumer Helpline in the last year. So it seems like things have definitely started to come to a head. This is a pretty interesting moment for the company, and I'm curious to know your thoughts. Can Bhavish and Ola Electric make a comeback, or are we potentially even witnessing the beginning of the end for Ola Electric? Let me know in a comment down below. All right, next up in the news, India has lost one of the most beloved industrialists and philanthropists, Ratan Tata, a man who was respected and admired by pretty much everybody in the country. And while most people know him for his work with Tata Group and his philanthropy, there is a side of Ratan Tata that some of you might not know about, and that's being an active angel investor in India's startup ecosystem. For a decade, Ratan Tata quietly invested in more than 40 Indian startups, and it all started back in 2014 with Snapdeal. Now, Snapdeal's story definitely didn't go as planned, and probably not how he would have hoped as an investor, but here's the thing, his investment style was far from typical. Unlike most investors who are just looking for an ROI, he wasn't really doing this for his own wealth. Instead, his reason for investing was a lot deeper. When Kunal Kamra, one of Snapdeal's founders, asked Ratan Tata why he invested, he said something pretty interesting. He explained that after retiring, he realized that there was a whole new world out there, the digital world. He saw the massive potential of online marketplaces driven by handheld devices, and he predicted that these devices would one day become the virtual retail stores of India. Ratan Tata realized that India's future was a digital one, and this prediction ended up being spot on. But it didn't stop with Snapdeal. He continued supporting young Indian startup founders, and some of the startups that he invested in actually went on to change the face of digital India. Just look at this list of some of the most successful investments that he made over the years. And today we're not just grateful for what he built at Tata, we're also thankful for the opportunities that he created for countless entrepreneurs across the country. All right, next up in the news, and talking about creating opportunities for entrepreneurs, let's talk about Shark Tank India. And things are getting pretty interesting for this upcoming season. season. Season 4's promo is out, and we have a new shark joining the season. Kunal Kamra, the co-founder of Snapdeal, who I just finished talking about, is actually joining as a new shark, replacing Zomato's Deepinder Goyal. So what's the story behind this switch? Well, it's not just a casual replacement. It turns out Deepinder is actually being kicked off of Shark Tank India, and the reason is Swiggy. According to Deepinder himself, Swiggy is sponsoring season 4 of Shark Tank India, and one of the conditions there was that Deepinder wouldn't be on the show. So it seems like Swiggy didn't want to have a direct competitor like Zomato to have screen time during their big sponsorship, which makes perfect sense, but it's also kind of a bit of a, I don't know, playing dirty, I guess, kicking him off of the show. I think it's going to upset some people. And one report says that Swiggy could be shelling out anywhere between 40 and 60 crore rupees for this sponsorship deal. That is a lot of money, but there's a good reason behind it. Swiggy is prepping for their upcoming IPO, and Shark Tank India could be a brilliant marketing platform to get retail investors hyped up. But this isn't the only thing Swiggy is doing before their IPO. They also just recently launched Bolt, a 10-minute food delivery service, and they're also rolling out an electric fleet to manage larger orders, just like Zomato did. All right, next up in the news, the government of India is gearing up to launch a new production-linked incentive scheme to promote the manufacturing of indigenous drones in India. But here's the thing, this isn't the first attempt at PLI schemes for drones. Back in 2021, the government introduced its first PLI scheme for drones, allocating 120 crore rupees to be dispersed over 3 years, starting from FY 21-22. But as it turns out, the first scheme didn't go exactly as planned. The Civil Aviation Secretary recently admitted that the initial PLI scheme was a bit too complicated, especially for startups and MSMEs. The process was bogged down with inefficiencies, making it difficult for companies to really take advantage of the scheme. And so this time the government is planning to simplify the process, making it more efficient in terms of implementation and documentation. And according to a discussion paper, the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry has suggested the government increase the outlay to 1,000 crore rupees. And that is a big jump, but it could be exactly what's needed to give India's drone industry the boost that it needs. All right, now let's move into the funny news segment for today's video. This week, Indian startups raised a total of $96.7 million. And even though it's higher than last week, this is still way below the trend line for the second consecutive week. So now let's look at some of the companies that have raised funds this week. The first one I want to talk about is Pune-based Haber, and they're developing an AI-driven industrial robot that is automating processes like sample collection, measurement, and real-time analysis at factories. And they've raised $38 million in their Series C round. And then after that, we have Hyderabad-based space tech startup XD Link Space Labs that designs, builds, and deploys cost-effective satellites for their clients, and they've raised $7 million in their seed round. After that, we have Pune-based Bioprime Agri Solutions, which is an agri-biotech startup that's making crops more climate-resistant by developing products based on biomolecules, and they've raised $6 million in their Series A round. Next, we have New Delhi-based Nyan Tech, which is using crowdsourced video data from dash cams and mobile devices installed in vehicles to monitor traffic conditions, detect violations, and analyze driver behavior. And they're providing real-time insights using AI to companies to improve their fleet operations and make the roads safer for everybody, and they've raised $2 million in their pre-Series A round. And then finally, we have Gurugram-based AI healthcare startup GVAI, which is using AI to provide real-time personalized diagnoses, treatment recommendations, and health reports by integrating various medical data sources. And they're actually the first startup in India to get investment from Andrew Ng's AI fund, and the amount that they've raised remains undisclosed. All right, that is all the startup news that I have for you guys this week. I really hope that you enjoyed the video, and if you get a chance, go check out the video that we recently made about the top 10 startups from Uttarakhand. At the time of me filming this video, it has less than 5,000 views, and I would love more people to see it to find out what's going on in that state and all of the startup action that's happening there. But either way, thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.